Revealed. The reason Jin never rejoined the other BTS members, the global public has been taken aback by a question that continues to resonate among K-pop fans. Why hasn't Jin, one of the main pillars of BTS, truly returned to the group as many had imagined? This question is not merely fan gossip, but a reflection of the significant changes in the group's dynamics, the entertainment industry, and the personal choices of a world-class idol. Is this a strategic decision, a professional obligation, or a transformation of identity that is rarely discussed openly? Since BTS announced their group activity hiatus and its members began pursuing individual paths, the public has placed great expectations on their future moments of togetherness. Jin, as the oldest member, has become the center of attention because his steps differ from the full reunion perception that fans expected. His absence from a number of collective moments has sparked widespread speculation, ranging from internal conflicts to contract issues. However, when examined rationally, these narratives oversimplify a much more complex reality. The first factor that often escapes emotional discussion is Jin's position in the professional structure of BTS. As the oldest member, Jin is in a career phase that demands a mature transition between the role of a group idol and an individual identity. The decision not to immediately rejoin fully does not mean a rejection of BTS, but rather an adjustment to a new, more fragmented and strategic work rhythm. The South Korean entertainment industry demands efficiency, long-term planning, and differentiation of personal brands, and Jin is right at the intersection of these demands. In addition, psychological aspects and career maturity also play an important role. After years of intense schedules, global public pressure, and relentless expectations, the choice to distance oneself is not an indication of division, but an effort to maintain career sustainability. In this context, not rejoining cannot be interpreted literally, but as a redefinition of togetherness that does not always have to be physically present or simultaneous. From a management perspective, Jin's move also reflects an exposure distribution strategy. When each member of BTS moves on a solo path, the collective value of the group is strengthened through the diversity of activities. Jin, with a stable and mature image, serves as a reputation anchor who does not always have to appear with other members to continue representing BTS. His relative silence in some public moments actually reinforces the aura of exclusivity and narrative control, equally important. The public needs to understand that Jin's absence from certain togetherness has never been accompanied by an official statement implying conflict. There is no concrete evidence to suggest a rift in BTS's internal relations. On the contrary, symbolic signals of support, indirect statements, and consistency of messages about the group's future indicate that this decision is within the corridor of mutual agreement, not a unilateral decision laden with controversy. This phenomenon also reveals modern fan news consumption patterns, where absence is often interpreted as a crisis. In fact, in the global industry landscape, collaboration flexibility is commonplace. Jin is not leaving BTS. He is navigating a new phase that demands a balance between group loyalty and personal growth. This distinction is crucial, but often ignored for the sake of sensational narratives. Ultimately, the reason Jin has never truly rejoined as the public imagined is not a single mystery, but an accumulation of professional, psychological, and strategic factors. The question now shifts to us as consumers of information. Do we judge reality based on fragmented facts, or simply follow the flow of speculation shaped by emotional expectations? Does absence always mean separation, or is it the most rational form of evolution in the career of a global icon? This reflection is important because behind every shocking headline, there is always a context that demands critical understanding, not just a spontaneous reaction. Revealed. Here's the reason Jin never rejoined the other BTS members. Continued and critical analysis. But behind all the logical explanations and professional analysis that we have discussed previously, there is one big question that cannot be ignored. Is all of this really real? Or is the story of Jin's non-return just a narrative that has been created, carefully crafted to create a dramatic effect, evoke emotions, and attract global public attention? In an era when the boundaries between reality and media construction question becomes very relevant for us to reflect on together. Some fans believe that Jin's decision not to rejoin is part of a grand strategy by HYB, the agency that houses BTS, to maintain the group's existence through separate exposure patterns. But is that really the case? Or is this just an assumption born from incomplete pieces of information, going viral on platforms like TikTok, Twitter, and YouTube? We all know how quickly news can spread, and how easily narratives can form just because of a 30-second video or an upload without a clear source. So, the question that should arise is not what happened to Jin, but who benefits from this story? Let's be honest, in the global entertainment world, especially in the digital age, every rumor has economic value. The more boisterous, the more clicks. The more clicks, the more attention. And the more attention, the higher the commercial value. Is it possible that the news about Jin who never came back is just part of a very subtle communication strategy? A narrative marketing that exploits public curiosity to maintain BTS's relevance among the many new artists that are emerging? If so, then we are witnessing a new form of the entertainment industry. Not just music, but the management of public perception. But on the other hand, there is also the possibility that this whole story is rooted in something very human. Exhaustion, a desire to rest, or a need for personal space after years of living in the spotlight. Have we as viewers been too demanding? Have our expectations of these idols crossed the line of empathy? When someone like Jin chooses to remain silent, is it his right to maintain calm? Or do we consider it a form of betrayal of the fandom? These questions should evoke reflection, not anger. We must also acknowledge one important thing. The information about Jin circulating on various platforms is not necessarily true. Some of it comes from video clips without context, one-sided interpretations, or even content manipulation made solely to attract attention. In the midst of the rapid flow of information, our ability to separate fact from fiction becomes the main key. Are you sure that the video you are watching is really authentic? Can the news source you are reading be accounted for? Or are we all trapped in a clever and almost undetectable clickbait circle? Perhaps this is the right time for all of us to pause for a moment and ask, why are we so easily trusting? Why can one upload on social media shake our trust in a figure we have admired for years? Do we judge the truth based on evidence, or just based on how often a news item appears on our timeline? This is where the importance of skepticism lies, not in the sense of doubting everything, but daring to question everything before believing it. Because in reality, viral news about Jin cannot be separated from the information consumption patterns of this era. When social media algorithms are designed to display content that provokes emotions, any issue that touches the sentimental side of the fandom will quickly explode without the need for verification. And ironically, the more emotionally involved we become, the more we lose the ability to judge objectively. Isn't this a subtle but